Haakon Staff, Marius Kotlarz, and Eirik Nordbø. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you guys are the, I want to say the owners, the creators, and participants of the legendary Equinor CTF. My first question for you today is, do you ever, like, right before you kick it off, you just say, capture the flag?
That's actually a good idea, but I've never played Halo, so I didn't know about that. But the First Blood music we have is from Doom or something when it says First Blood.
Nice.
So,
nice.
That's
from Quake, isn't it?
Some game.
So it's just me that thinks of Halo when they hear capture the flag.
No, I mean, I play the Halo series. I also think about that. But I would say, though, that the music guys play are pretty epic, though. So, I mean, it works for me, at least.
Cool. Good. Then I'm not totally off. But who wants to go first? Who are you guys?
I'll go first.
Yep.
My name is, as you said, perfectly pronounced, Eirik Nordbø. I work in the Equinor Cyber Defense Center, and I've worked in Equinor since I was done with my master's. That was in 2011. I started working in security in 2015-ish, and I've been working with security, both pen testing and incident response ever since.
Nice. I guess I should ask you what do you call it? Your handle? What is your app name?
Yeah, I'm Nordbø, so it's my last name without the Norwegian characters.
Okay. Nice. Marius?
So my name is Marius Kotlarz. I think I joined almost 2 years ago in Equinor, February 2022. I work as a incident responder, or actually I switched full-time over to the security testing team. So I work as a pen tester now. I guess that's basically what I do.
You work as a potato as well.
Yeah, I do
potato
stuff.
/ pen tester.
Yes,
I
do stuff. Admin. And my handle, it used to be, before I joined CTF, it used to be Cryptography. But then I joined CTF, and crypto in CTF isn't the same as the crypto I was used to. And I don't know crypto, so I had to remove crypto from my name or my nick.
You demoted yourself. You're an honest man, at least.
Yeah. And everyone thought your name was Lars as well. So like Lars, like
because it's Kotlarz.
Yeah.
Lars.
Kotlarz.
Oh. Kotlarz.
I thought the Z was just like a cool thing to do, add a Z to the end, but that's actually your name.
Basically.
Cool. And Haakon, what about you?
I'm Haakon, as you said. I work in the mnemonic as a pen tester in the department Technical Risk Services. And in this year, I was one of the lucky participants to join the Equinor CTF. So now I will mostly at least try to represent the CTF community and ask questions that we're all wondering about as participants.
Cool. So I've been looking forward to this episode because I know nothing about CTFs. I've been to one before. What is that? It's that one in Finland, Disobey. And I was the most useless person in the entire conference. So for people that haven't heard of a CTF, what is a CTF?
So really basic. It's a hacking competition. So you get challenges or tasks within different categories. So web, it could be cryptography, it could be you get a program that you have to reverse engineer, you have to exploit something, you have to find vulnerabilities, and the goal in the end is to find a flag. So it's capture the flag. You're supposed to find a string, it could be words, it has a specific format, and this is the answer to that task or challenge. So you submit that. If it's correct, you get points. That's basically it.
Nice. And that which one was that? Was that Jeopardy, Attack of the Fence, or King of the Hill?
Yeah.
That was okay.
Yes. So you also have AD, Attacking the Fence, which is set up that you have different teams have their own network of machines, and each machine has either one or more services. And by design, these services are vulnerable. So the goal in Attack and Defense is to attack these services on other teams, but also, so that's the red team part, but also kind of patch and protect, defend yourself. So you have attack, you use these vulnerabilities that you found, and defend by patching these.
That's probably the most fun one.
Yes,
but it's also the most exhausting one.
And most stressful, and
most demanding. You need a lot of custom tooling and infrastructure to be good at it. So it's a whole different ball game, kind of. And I guess King of the Hill isn't much played. It's mostly Jeopardy, some attack and defense.
Yeah. So King of the Hill is where you have teams that compete against one machine, like finding vulnerabilities and blocking the other attackers. And the longer you are the guy or the team that's
defending,
owning the machine, you get points.
Cool. So which one is your favorite and why?
I think like my favorite would be attack and defense because it's the most crazy and the most rewarding. But at the same time, as we said, it's the most exhausting and like you're melted after only a few hours. But it's also the most fun.
Yeah.
I'm basically the same there. I've played attack and defense a few times, and it's stressful as heck. Especially you can see it on your watch if you have a pulse meter. But I do like Jeopardy as well because you can take it kind of slower there. And you can, usually you can take it slower, but if you're competitive,
it's kind of stressful.
It is stressful as well. But attack and defense is definitely the most fun I've had.
Actually, I've not had the chance yet to try attack and defense. I know that's quite huge in DEF CON, so I mean, it's something I'm excited to try it. I actually had an idea to try to set up attack defense, by using some existing platform to have like the red team in mnemonic versus the blue team in mnemonic one night, and then we try to switch it the day after, so the red team try to be the blue team and so on, which I think would be a cool concept. And no, definitely Jeopardy is what I play the most, and I'm still kind of newish though, but definitely what I like the most.
From the outside, I think I've only seen Jeopardy being played, and that shit did not look unstressful, at least. There's a lot of stress people. But it looked really fun. Attack and defense, have you guys played StarCraft before? Kind of reminds me of StarCraft.
Yeah, it's pretty much StarCraft.
Yeah, fun. So how long have you guys been doing this for?
Okay, so I'll start again then. I started... I guess like I at least feel like I have kind of a unique experience because I was quite old when I started. I was over 30 and then I was a developer before that. Then I started working in security and kind of a bit into pen testing with other pen testers. I was mainly a developer working with the security guys. And I gradually shifted over. And then I was fortunate enough to go to a course, SANS course, SEC 560, which is this penetration testing course. And I had no idea like what I went into. And first of all, it was like a crazy learning experience because I didn't even know what Netcat was at the time. I had no idea. I was a developer with some security background on a few things, but total noob. So on the last day of these courses at SANS, you have this capture the flag event or coin challenge, they call it. And that is basically a CTF, so you're divided into teams. And I guess like that was my first ever experience with it, and I was just blown away like how cool it was and exciting and demanding and everything at once. And I guess I would have to say I'm a competitive guy, so I took it really serious and tried my best. We ended up second place, but it was still like a lot of fun. And from there, I knew nothing about the CTF community at all. I just thought that this was something they did at SANS. So I guess a few years later, 1 year later maybe, I went to another course at SANS, and then I also participated in NetWars, which is their CTF they have at the bigger conferences. And that was kind of my first real CTF. And again, I was just blown away about how fun it was. And from there, I started a bit with Hack the Box, and I got to meet other Norwegians there. And then someone I guess it was in 2019, I was invited into Bootplug and played with Bootplug in the beginning. But then it was just, I also have a family, and at the time my kids were really small, so it was quite demanding both for me and my kids and the wife that I was totally zoning out at dinner just thinking about CTF challenges. So at some point I just realized like this is crazy. I can't keep doing this, and it wasn't Bootplug's fault. It was kind of me who kind of really wanted to contribute all the time and took it a bit too serious, I guess. So I left, and at some point not long after, we started playing a bit as EPT, and then I guess we were back on the horse pretty fast again after.
Here you are.
Yeah.
You can't leave this game.
And I would say like it was fun with Bootplug, but it was more enjoyable for me with EPT as we were colleagues playing together. But that's basically how it started for me.
Cool. Marius?
So I didn't start full time until Corona, but before that, I did play these CTFs at the university where companies come in and host a CTF. And I tried to play that solo, had a bit of fun, and then didn't do much more. But then I had the Corona, right? And then there was Cybertalent by Etterretningstjenesten, and I started doing that for 1 year. And then in 2020, I joined Kotlarz, which is a Norwegian CTF team. And I got motivated there because I got to play as a team, but unfortunately, there weren't that many people playing during that time. So I ended up joining Bootplug afterwards, like in September, I think. And then, not too
then
long
they got
after,
inactive when you joined.
Yes, we played a lot as Bootplug. Holy crap! I think at least 2 CTFs every week.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I still play with them sometimes, but we're not as active anymore. But during like a few months after joining Bootplug, I did, I don't remember what CTF it was, but I ended up, I knew Eirik or Nordbø from Kotlarz. We were like,
yeah, I'm from Cybertalent.
And Cybertalent, so I spoke to him a bit here and there. And then I ended up joining you guys as a guest during a CTF. And from there, it just escalated, kind of. I started playing with them more, and I joined you guys in Vegas 2 years ago. And after that, I've been stuck with DPT, basically.
An important question: does anybody have a tattoo on their ass or something at Bootplug? Is that like a thing to have to to be on the team?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay.
That is something someone should do.
It's never too late. It's never too late. You heard it here
we
first.
can manage.
In EBT, we have these kind of henna tattoos, like one-time tattoos.
Yeah.
But I guess Bootplug needs the real deal.
Is there like a ritual to join the team, or is it just being skilled enough?
No, it's just
Because I
fun.
guess one thing to mention is that Bootplug is a very known team in the CTF community, right? It's considered best
It's
team.
the best team.
I mean, considered the best team and has the results to back it up, right? So over the years, at least before. I guess not as active anymore, as said. But
Okay, they're not a Norwegian team then, or are they a Norwegian team?
Yes, they are.
Oh,
They're
wow.
like
It's a Norwegian.
Cool. Norway.
we
nice.
have the monikers who plays in Bootplug. I'm not sure if I was able to trick them or convince them or gently, have them to join us this year. We got 2 of them to join us instead of Bootplug, so that was nice. I hope the others 2 will join our team next year as well. So we'll see. But it's a very known team.
Oh. Cool. How long, you been doing this for a long time then too, Haakon? Or?
I'm very fairly recent. I think my first experience with CTFs was TGAC, which is like CTF that is done in the like a huge LAN, the gathering that is hosted every year, which is I think like not that long ago, like 5-6 years ago. So I'm fairly new, I would say, but it's more in recent times that I really picked it up. Maybe last 2 years, where I joined the Equinor CTF last year as well. Did not go as well as this year. And then some others CTFs here and there, but definitely the last and definitely this year it has picked up a lot for me at least.
And I would assume like just having seen those challenges. Of course, I didn't understand half the shit I was looking at on the screen, right? But just seeing it, I could just understand that, okay, this is actually, even though it's for fun and games, you're getting really good at your jobs. You're getting better at your jobs by doing these things, right? Especially if you're a pen tester or if you're defending.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess there are some split opinions here, especially among pen testers. Some would rather say, it's for kids, you don't learn anything, it's just guessy. But our impression is that you learn a lot from CTFs. And we have a lot of concrete examples where stuff we learned playing CTF, and also more advanced stuff. For example, in the Insomnia Hack CTF, they have really good Windows internal people. So challenges they have made there we have found the same in, for example, drivers or other Windows internal stuff that we in the first place learned from CTFs. And on a kind of more beginner level, just learning about the tooling and how to do easy stuff. As I said in the beginning, when I was at my first SANS course, I didn't know about the tool Netcat, which is basically just to create a communication channel between a computer or two computers, and I had no idea. So kind of the last challenge there was just you should extract a database and take the MD5 sum of it and post something like that. At least you have to extract the whole database. And kind of, I didn't, like today I've used 2 seconds, just pipe it over Netcat. But at the time I didn't know because I hadn't that experience. So kind of learning just how to operate, how to pop a shell, how to get your shell better. Like there's a lot of stuff you learn in CTFs that you use both as a blue and a red teamer.
Yeah, and definitely I just want to add that, as Eirik said, that techniques and stuff I've learned from CTFs, which you can't learn at school or in courses, kind of, these techniques I've used at work, at Pentest, to get 0 days. So it's like, it is something of value. So you can't say, pentests are bullshit. It's nothing. Of course you have challenges or CTFs that aren't the best, that are guessy, that the quality isn't there, but you do have good CTFs as well, where you can learn.
I would also like to add that never underestimate the value of having fun with the concept, right? Because I actually had the discussion with some developers. I was like, oh my god, security, that's just like a compliance requirement they shove down our throats, and it's so annoying to deal with. And actually we did a CTFs for some of these people, and they're like, wow, this domain is actually quite fun. I mean, there are actually fun things there, just not something I need to do because my manager tells me to, right? So that's also something I think it's important to mention, for sure.
Yeah, so if you're trying to get better at like Windows, whatever internals, there's actually like certain CTFs or certain things you could actually go for that will both have fun and actually teach you something, I guess. So that's
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And even like the more advanced security topics, let's say reverse engineering, starting out doing CTFs and either doing them while they are live or just going back in history and finding old challenges and kind of learn from it is really, at least for me, a really good way to learn. I don't like to read books and learn that way. I rather like practical tasks and do something and understand and learn that way. So I guess it depends from people to people, but at least for me, it's a really good way to learn. And just last comment on this, on the Equinor CTF this year, we had a new category which we called the real world, where we had kind of stuff we have found real life. Some of it were even just the applications that we pen tested and we used them in CTF challenges. And I would even argue that most of them are even easier than the medium CTF challenges. So being a pen tester, it depends on what you're testing, obviously, but it can often be even easier than doing CTF, quality CTFs.
You guys all have CTFs on your resumes, in your CVs?
Do you have a CV?
I don't have, like, I haven't applied for a job in 15 years.
I have, I have the coin that I can show.
Yeah, that's totally legit to do. So I would, if I were to apply for a job, I would probably write something about it, of course. And
definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
and I would say
Marius got this job here because of CTF.
Yeah. Actually, no joke. That's how I got the job.
It was even hard to get him in because he's Short story long, but we kind of knew him really well through CTFs. And that was kind of, compared to a job interview that is an hour or two, we kind of knew him for a long time and knew what he was capable of. So it was really easy for us to hire him. And obviously it's been a really successful hiring for us. And he's done a lot of good work for us. So we're super happy having him.
So this is a recruitment thing. You should be taking notes, Haakon.
Yeah,
This is how we're gonna
I already know, and well aware. But I mean, there are I thought kind of two segues that we can take from there. I guess both is the CTF community, right? That is quite strong, and there's a lot of benefits in being part of that. But I think maybe we should just start talking about the Equinor CTF in general. I mean, there's so much to dive into there. So, I mean, do you guys want to give like an introduction to what it is, starting with that?
Yeah, like take the kind of history of it. As I mentioned earlier, we started EPT first. First of all, we started with CTFs from what I already explained, and then when we started hiring new people, I think in 2017-18, we were doing a bit CTF, but not much. We weren't kind of playing a lot, but we started creating some CTF channels that we used in recruitment. And that kind of randomly, to some extent, attracted people who, especially one guy, BCPO, he applied, he wanted to move, he's from Poland, and he wanted to move to Norway, and he saw the job and might be interesting, and then we gave him CTF challenges, and he kind of loved it, and was like, wow, this is fun, I want to work here. So then we hired him. I worked there, we had a few other people who were into CTF, we also hired another guy. At the same time as Vukash, who is also a CTF player. So kind of when they joined, we were all like a small team. So then we first started playing a bit as Equinor and then more as EPT in 2020. And at some point, I think in 2020 or 2021, the beginning, we were asked by some group at NTNU if we could host a CTF for them. But then we were really clear that maybe we should do a CTF, but we wanted to be public and not just host for 20 people at some student gathering. So we said yes, but we also said at the same time it will be public. So that was our first CTF, and it was mostly online. We went to Trondheim to NTNU and thought that we could gather some people there. Marius came. He came from as a player from Oslo to play. A few other guys from IQ-toppene came. But that was about it, so there was no one on site.
There were more people from EPT than players on site.
But it was mainly an online competition, so there was a lot of people playing online. It was a success. So the next year, because it was a success, the next year we want to take it up a notch. So then we had like a semi thing where it was 24 hours. We started online, but then you came on site to Rebel in Oslo. And then I think we had 130 on-site participants in 2022. And then last year we kind of, the final evolution to the format we have today, which is on-site only for a day. Last year we had 270 people in Oslo, but the venue, there wasn't more space, so that was kind of the max capacity. And this year we were at the Hub Hotel in Oslo, and we had about 500 participants. So that's like the evolution and where we've gone from and to when it comes to people and the CTF itself. And it has, obviously, we have been kind of learning from our mistakes all the time. So hopefully it has been, I guess Haakon can speak more to it, but it's kind of the experience has improved for the participants.
Sounds like you're going to need, what is it called? Not Telenor Arena, but Unity Arena next year.
Yeah, there is a lot of jokes about it, that we need Viking sheet and everything, but I think actually that we are now happy with the size of the CTF, and we'll probably for next year just keep the same venue and keep the same size.
I mean, I'm gonna try to keep having more people from mnemonic to join. So I mean, we got 30 people this year. So I mean, I'm gonna try to double that. So that's a challenge for you guys to at least add some more space.
I think we'll just reserve a separate location for mnemonic, and
we can have the building by the side.
It's a bit of a joke, but I think it's really impressive and really cool that so many people from mnemonic is actually joining. And I know some companies are kind of afraid to play with their name and kind of show how well or how bad they would do it in a CTF, but mnemonic feel like have no fear and show up and show their talent and skills. So that, I think for us that's really cool to see.
I mean,
that,
I can speak a little bit about that because I mean we had some internal discussions about that actually, and quickly we understood, and also because it was clear that we should split up in 2 teams, right? That we kind of took and this is like a tip to anyone other firms that want to do the same, is that just be transparent that you can create 2 teams where one is more competitive and one is not, and then you can say that out loud if you want or not. That's depending on how you want to do it, right? But internally that worked quite well, I think, because then, you know, the expectations are set already before you start, and then and then the results, you know, kind of reflect which team you want to be on, I guess, in general. And
Yeah, and I think also just like showing up and playing, I give a lot of credit just by doing that, no matter where you end up on the scoreboard, just having the guts to do so.
So, and we did have like a lot of different companies playing this year.
Yeah, some with real names, some with fake names, obviously.
I would say though, just one thing that I thought was kind of cool is that because there was a lot of memes in the Discord that we had such a huge team. I thought it was very funny. But I also say that there were some teams that actually reached out like, it's nice to see that you guys had such a large team, because then they added more people to their team because they thought that was probably more allowed then. And I thought that was kind of cool. It's like, this is like, we drive each other kind of engagement. So that's kind of fun. I didn't realize that that had such an impact.
I think for next year, we have to do something about the team sizes for several reasons. One, because if we keep the same menu, there will only be 500 seats. So to get kind of more people in, we can't have a 50 people team kind of, because then it's only 10 teams. So we'll probably set a limit on 10 people, something like that, and then divide into more teams. And I think also we need to find some fair registration system, because earlier it's been easy, because this year we thought like 400, we'll never fill it up, and then suddenly it was 500 and there was a queue. And so I think for next year, if it's still 500, I think we actually need to have some proper registration. So
and some reservation for students.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So there,
something to think about.
Yeah, like we understand that hackers gonna hack, and that's how we do it as well. Someone tell, this is a 5 people CTF. If we are 8, we don't often kind of use them all. So we try to put as little limitations on this as possible, because we know how we would handle it. But I can say only CTF we respect and actually respect the team size. That is DMB CTF.
Yes.
There we don't fuck around with it, because then it's 4 people, everyone is on site. But other CTFs, for example, we've been playing the first CTF quite a few times. It's the conference, and they also say 4 people, but there we have people playing from back home. And this year was kind of weird. We were all there, and we were 3 from Equinor and 2 from Kongsberg who played together. It was only allowed to be 4. But it was like we sat at the same table. It was obvious that we worked together, and I think people noticed. And we were leading pretty much the whole time. So in the end, we almost lost. We came in second, and then we took hints kind of that we didn't have to. And we didn't lose on purpose, but we weren't really bummed by losing, because we thought if we won, someone would start arguing about us being 5 people and everything. So. We kind of know the player side of it, so we try to make as few limitations that you break anyways as possible, so we don't need these discussions and arguments. But seeing how it evolves, we need to kind of make sure that everyone who wants to come from different teams and students and so forth, give them space and be allowed to, because that is of course one of the main things here, to have students join and learn.
New people.
Right.
Yeah.
So
grow the community.
When you have this huge 500 boys and girls in a room, like, what's the infrastructure look like? I mean, I'm just like imagining all the plugs you have to have in for all the computers. Like, how do you tell me more about the infrastructure?
Oh yeah, I get kind of depressed when you tell it that way, because this year we messed up with the Wi-Fi. We knew obviously having so many people in such a small area, having good Wi-Fi, you need actually a proper setup. And we talked to the venue a billion times. There are no worries, it's fixed, and back and forth a lot. And we got a lot of promises. They talked to the ISP. We were not allowed to talk to the ISP, back and forth. And in the end, we just had to kind of say, okay, we have to trust you guys. But that didn't work at all.
Never trust
so
the
that
sales
sucked.
guy.
No,
Yes.
exactly. So next year we have to do something about that. That's for sure. Probably bring in kind of cable infrastructure. But I think the more interesting infrastructure discussion is what is happening on the back end with the platform and everything. So that has also evolved a lot. We have a platform, which I guess you can talk more about, Marius. But when it comes to infrastructure, we're using AWS. This year we had 2 Kubernetes clusters, one from the platform and one for the challenges. We are building everything with Terraform, so we can just spin it up really fast and then tear it down the next day, so we don't have to reuse anything. So that's also really helpful for these kind of environments. And obviously we have a lot of focus on making sure that the platform is secure and the infra is secure, and that from one, let's say you hack into something, a challenge, you basically end up in a Kubernetes pod, and from there you should obviously not be able to reach everything else. So it's been kind of continuous improvement now over several years, the whole infra.
Do you guys actually like pen test your own?
I guess we did test the platform somewhat last year, but also this year we have tested it in other avenue.
Yeah, I think even it's the load testing is the most important testing for us. That when there's a billion people pressing F5 at the same time want to access the platform, it can go down.
Yeah.
Well, for the platform,
No, I was just wondering about like if you ever do like stress testing of the systems beforehand and so on, because obviously it's a huge load compared to probably when you set it up, I assume.
yeah, last year, things went
I
down during
remember.
the start.
I was there.
Yeah. So the thing is, I did a stress test last year, but it was not a proper stress test at all. So this year I did a proper stress test where I tested both the platform, so the website and everything, but also it fired up on-demand challenges, containers, all of the VMs. So for us, I have PTSD from last year that things were down for a few minutes because I know how annoying as a CTF player it is to not have a working infrastructure. So this year we spent at least more time making sure things would run.
I do remember at Disobey that it went down, and luckily there was a lot of beer, but that so it was fine. But I guess that's an important part of the infrastructure. Have a backup plan, a liquid backup plan.
Yeah, and
Have not only one. If you have Marius, you have like 7 backup plans. Like
I had some backup plans. Yes, I bought new domains. One, I guess we can. One of them is ept.repair. So it was like I had backup plan there we could fail over in case the platform went down.
Marius didn't trust our distributed Kubernetes clusters in AWS.
Trust but
over
verify.
several zones in the world. It wasn't good enough, so he had
no.
his own backup. And I'm like the one who has to say, Marius, this is enough. It's good now. We have enough backup solutions. We also obviously have GitHub repositories with all the challenges that we can make public if we need to, so that people can access the challenges. So yeah, there's a lot of
making sure the challenge, like the CTF, is good. A good experience for the participants, basically. That you can play the CTF and not just sit there and be stuck.
And I guess back to the stress part, like it's stress playing a CTF. It's even more stressful to hosting a CTF, especially when shit hits the fan and something doesn't work, and you have to try to concentrate with a billion people around you asking you, why is it not working? What's going on? So that is also it's a lot of stress in this world of CTFs.
And we always say never again.
Yeah, for a few days.
Till the next day. Oh shit! You guys are gonna get responsibility for like resilience in Equinor now too, with all your backup plans.
Yeah.
I must say though, I mean, even though as a participant, right, in last year when there were some issues, and this year when there was some network stuff, right, still the total impression is that it's so amazing setup. Like it's really cool to play, and I mean, you seem to be quite able to like fix things on the fly, or at least give the impression that you have things under control, which I think is the most important part, right? And yeah, I mean, I know that some of my teammates struggle a bit with like network lag and so on, and we had our own access points, which I know understood might have been a part of the issue. But I mean, taking that into consideration, like the event was so good, right? I mean, I've only heard positive feedback from everyone who competed, right? Even though there were some initial things there, here and there, like people don't remember that now, I think.
Yeah, we put a lot of effort into making it a good experience, but also making it look professional. But it's how to say this in a good way. Like we want it to look professional, but on the back end, it's just us YOLOing around and a lot of spaghetti, especially this year with all the card readers and APIs all over and shooting ranges and fucking walls with a lot of lights that is also challenges.
I mean, from the participant point of view, it looks like everything is done very professionally, and I mean it's DevSecOps profession. It is, but that's kind of why it works so well with all of this customization that we have. That the platform, like the badges and the cards, we came up with that idea 3 weeks before the CTF.
Marius had an idea to make, like, we had a printer challenge where you had a card you needed to scan to print something. And you had that idea for a billion years, 2 years. He was supposed to make it last year, but he didn't. And then he made it this year. And then, like, at the end of the development on the challenge, like, what if everyone has their own card? That's a good idea. And then what if we buy a card printer? And what if we do this? And what if we do that? And what if we use it for giving people bongs? And what? So then it just exploded. And then I think it was three weeks before the event kind of. So we had to order a card printer from Denmark somewhere. We found one. And sit there. The room we're in now is our lab. So people were sitting here printing cards day out and day in, and testing. And so I guess like we started planning a long time before the event, but in the end you're kind of so zoned in. Everything you think about is the event, and that's unfortunately when a lot of the good ideas pop up. Is right at the end. So it's always hectic.
I'm sure you guys were sober when you had all those ideas too.
I mean, we were at work, so yes.
No, I'm very curious about the creative process because we are also trying to make now more CTF challenges and so on. I mean, obviously there's a lot of time you can put into creating just one challenge, right? So, I mean, and in the scale that you are creating, so I'm like specifically wondering, like, when do you guys start the creative process for, say, the next year event? Like, when are you starting to create challenges? Do you already have some already in mind, or?
Yeah, we don't have challenges yet. Yes, I guess some has even made some, like Christian. He is like the next day he's like, now I'm gonna start creating next year's challenges. So
the day after the CTF.
He's relentless. But us normal people, we have started the talk process, especially about the on-site stuff, because that I think that is really important. We kind of, it's also about the kind of competitive persons we are. We want to kind of competing about last year's CTF, our own CTF, so we want to make it better every year. So now we have to figure out something new, great and amazing that we can do for next year, Marius. But we have some ideas, but they're kind of both involves heavy lifting and money and whatnot. So we'll see.
But for the creative process, for at least my case, it's if I'm not in the mindset of creating challenges or the CTF, it's difficult to come up with like be focused on only the CTF. And if I have CTF in my mind all the time, I can come up with these really cool ideas and just switch and work on them. But I do, like, throughout the year, if I come up with something or think about something, I write them down, and then I can, when I have to make challenges, I can look at that and see if it's something I want to use. But then I discard it and make something new, for example.
I think all of us we write stuff down throughout the year, but often also I go back and look how I wrote down, like, I don't remember what I meant by that. I have like a few notes and like, how was this supposed to work? Doesn't make any sense, but I think we try at least, and some are better than others. Christian, again, he has like a whole bankroll of challenges, I think, at least ideas that he has. To some people it comes easier than to others, but I know for me at least in the beginning I thought it was really, really hard to come up with ideas, but I think it's more like more experience you have and confidence in your abilities to create good challenges, the easier it gets. So, and when I talk about experience, it's also from a lot of the challenges we made both now and earlier are to some extent based on real world scenarios, stuff we have actually seen in the wild.
So I guess, Haakon, don't you like go help companies make CTFs for their employees?
No, I mean,
That's why I
yeah,
asked you.
more that
Yeah.
we host CTFs for them, but we try to put in the right context of what is the audience, right? So, for example, you have developers who are obviously technical skilled, but they are not really not necessarily in the security domain, right? So maybe you would create challenges, like for example, we host a full web-based CTF for developers, web developers, right? And we didn't give them like crypto challenges or reversing because it doesn't make sense for them, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But I was also more curious about because it sounds like you guys are working creating challenges kind of like throughout the year, but do you have like workshops where you sit down together? Is this part of your job description? Do you get compensated in a way, if I can ask that? I mean, I think that's people are curious about that.
Yeah. Yes, you can obviously ask that. I don't even know what my job description is, to be honest. I've been working here so long ago that there is no job description. But no, that's an interesting point. The CTF itself started without, like, I think we got an approval, but it wasn't much money back then because it was only online, and we just used some resources in AWS, and that was kind of fine. I don't know who is listening to this, but in general, I can say that we have more kind of just done stuff and then hoped for approval after, to some extent.
Usually
but we
works.
have also, for the CTF itself, we have like a business plan we wrote, and kind of last year that was approved. So now it's more official than it ever has been. And for this year, I think we'll even actually try to get it into, maybe not to the job descriptions, but at least kind of make sure that Marius can use X amount of hours or X amount of days a year on this, because that's a problem we have had, that we haven't had it. We haven't spent a lot of working hours on it, but it hasn't kind of been part of all the other things we have to do. So that's one thing that we'll continue to improve upon. And when it comes to kind of EPT and our CTFing, more in general, at some point after we started EPT, we also started winning, and we got prizes, and sometimes even expensive prizes. And then Equinor said that no, if you got prizes, you can't keep them, because if you represent Equinor, then we have kind of regulations on what you can accept and not accept as gifts, even though it's a competition of skill. So then we said, okay, that's fine. Maybe we then can get compensated by being allowed to travel to a CTF in Europe and attend and get that covered. And then that our leaders thought that was a good idea, and then it was brought in with HR, and they were kind of strict, saying that, yeah, that's fine, but if they actually represent Equinor while playing, they also have to get paid for playing. And not all the time, obviously, but then we have an agreement that says that on some planned events, we get paid by the hour, a maximum number of hours per event and a maximum number of events per year. So kind of there's a fixed deal on that. It's a cool kind of compensation, but I think for Equinor, the kind of skills we have learned and the networks we have made and the communities we have created make up for it easily when it comes to the money spending side of it.
I mean, just the recruitment aspect of it is like super obvious, right? Because anybody in that community was like, oh, I would love to work for them, right? And then also the skills gaining. Yeah, I don't see any downside, honestly.
I think like we have a proven highly capable kind of pen test red team, and even our kind of more blue people are super skilled. So there's no doubt that just the skills we gain, but I think also the kind of same people who like to CTF also likes to kind of pen test and do well and find bugs and try to find that bug that no one else found. So kind of that mentality really helps in our actual jobs as well. So for Equinor, sure, like we are proud of the teams we have and the skills that are within the team. So yes, it's a win-win, and the most important when it comes to why we do this is obviously also building the communities. And for a big company like Equinor, it's really important for us that, for example, NSM or the police or whoever government companies, or even mnemonic, who is a security consultant company, and all the other companies also have skilled people, so we can help get more people into security, and by that get more skilled people into other companies and other functions in both Norway and the world. That also helps us in the long run, because we depend on everyone else. We have a billion suppliers and partners and whatnot. So all in all, we're just super happy that we're allowed. We're really, of course, happy that Equinor gives us the opportunity to do this, and at the same time we kind of help build this security community in especially Norway, of course.
I had no idea how big a role that CTFs actually play. That should be in our job description in mnemonic. Like, you have to play CTFs.
I remember something you said. I think it was you, Eirik, who said it during the event. Is that as a joke, I would say, probably, but you were like, yeah, remember that this is also like for the firms that are out there today, that this is also assessment of if you're able to get contact with us.
That's my answer,
and since we did quite well, I'm happy to see that that's a requirement, but I think that's kind of funny, right? And maybe something to it.
Yeah. Obviously a joke, but at the same time, we think it's funny that there's a lot of consulting companies that obviously work for us, show up and show their skills. So it's a joke, but at the same time, we get kind of respect for people who put in the work and do well, as you guys did, obviously. But I just want to say another thing before, so people don't think that we only appreciate CTF players. This is not for everyone, and there's a lot of skilled people out there who has never played a CTF or never have cared. Or it's not like you have to play CTF to be successful in security, obviously, but for some people, it's a really good way to kind of learn and develop, and even just to kind of build a community and get a network.
Absolutely. I have some questions about, I mean, you guys mentioned briefly the on-site challenges, but there are like, okay, there are 3 that sticks out for me at least, but I guess we can start with the pixel perfect one, which for those who weren't there, I'll try to explain it quickly from my point of perspective, is that I think around 12 o'clock, like in the middle of the event, it was announced that some fire challenges or extra cool challenges will start to appear, and suddenly the whole wall behind us start to light up, and a lot of different colors starts flying through the flying over the wall, and to me it looked like gibberish and really cool, like nice colors. I had no idea what it meant, but some of my teammates, a bit clever than me, started to see a pattern, and I'm just curious about like, where did you guys even get that idea? Like, when did you understand that you could make that challenge in itself? I guess you guys can talk a bit more about what the challenge actually was, if you want to share that.
Yeah, sure. So the wall, like, this started the first time we went to Oslo, or we were in Oslo, and then we had the opportunity to go and have a look at the venue, because we have had discussions with them. I think we already signed the contract, but we wanted to kind of see it. And maybe we had already seen the wall on photos, I don't remember. But when we came there and they turned it on, and we're like, holy shit, these are pixels. I guess that's just how our brains work. So I think just at once we understood that if we are allowed to control this somehow, we can make something. And also last year, if you remember at Oslo Event Hub, there was like in the ceiling, there was like a huge light that you could change colors and stuff. We tried there as well and asked them, how can we control this? Can we program or something? And they were like, nah, I don't think so. We don't know.
And you have to pay if you want to.
So we kind of gave up on it. But at the hotel we were at now, the hub, they were like, yeah, sure, it's DMX and whatever. And it was me who was there with Rune, a colleague. We didn't understand anything about it. Like, okay, sure. And we just asked a bit, and we're like, okay, if it's possible, we'll figure something out. And then we have a colleague who, at his spare time, has done some light work before, and he knew at least what DMX was. It's a protocol, right, for lights and stuff. We had no idea, and then we have something called ArtNet. It's no ArtNet, something like that. It's not the old internet, but it's something else. So we found some open source software that we can use, and then we went back to Oslo. Or first we bought some equipment, just one light is actually in here somewhere, and the kind of a switch that supported this stuff, and we tested a bit locally with just one light, and then we went back to Oslo to actually see if we could do this. So then we sat there for a whole day and tried to program on that wall, and we had some software to mimic it and make it look nice. We got something running, and then it just developed. But I think the idea itself, it was a bit hard because we were afraid that it was a bit too guessy. But what happened was that at the top of the wall on the upper pixels, we showed 16 different colors. They were actually not the same, even though they looked the same, some of them. And then they were representing 0 to 50 in them, so a nibble of data, or 4 bits. So then we put 2 and 2 colors together, so then we had 8 bits or 2 nibbles, and that again converted, if you took the hex value or the number value from it and converted it to ASCII, it was a character. And then there was some text and a flag in the end, kind of. So I think that idea, it evolved over time, but something like that was there the whole time when we saw that wall where we were like, we have to do something with these lights.
I mean, what a perfect example of how much you can learn by just creating a challenge, right? I mean, you know nothing about the technology,
Yeah,
and so they're able to make that. So cool.
Yeah, it took quite a lot of time, but it was fun though to learn about it. But I would argue that I still don't know all of the technical details. It was Martin who was the kind of light guy. I wrote the Python code, and that was buggy. Maybe you didn't notice, but when there was fire challenges, we switched the light and it was blinking and stuff. But then there was a bug in the code, so the challenge didn't turn back on, and my brain was melting throughout the event, so I weren't able to find the bug and fix it. So I just had to go over to the computer and restart it every time after a fire or a first blood happened.
I mean, now I'm just impressed. It was, I mean, I saw how my other team solved it, and I mean, it seemed to be quite. I mean, I'm not saying quite straightforward. Obviously, it was a difficult challenge, but
if you know it's easy, right?
Yeah.
Just see the pattern, just write the script, easy, convert it.
I would have looked at
But
the
it's
wall,
Yeah, that was me. That was me.
Well, Haakon, it's kind of like you said that when creating challenges, especially if you create something that uses technology you haven't used before, you learn a lot yourself. So it's not like you make challenges with everything you've done before. You actually get something out of it yourselves as well as a challenge maker.
Absolutely.
The next challenge a lot of people actually ask about as well is that your shooting range, it has become very popular, I think, in the community. But again, to explain it from my point of view, is that you have this shooting range setup where you have where you shoot at there are like screens that shows numbers, decimal numbers, and no, it's all right. It's probably best that you guys explain it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so that challenge first popped up last year, and it was when we sat and tried to come up with on-site ideas last year. We would be famous on Nerf guns or something, like shooting or something. And then what if we got some targets that is we can actually control digitally and use a Raspberry Pi or something to kind of notice when you shoot something down. So that happened, but also an inspiration was from the Cyberlandslag qualification round last year. Kat made a game where you got numbers floating up kind of in hex, and then you needed to press the bits. So if you got, for example, 60, you needed to press bit. I'm not gonna embarrass myself right now, but you had to press some bits. And then if you got it correct, you got a new number, and then so it continued. And it's kind of a way to kind of learn to convert between hex and binary. So that was obviously part of the inspiration. And the other, I guess we just figure out that we kind of went to Amazon. That's what we usually do, and find weird stuff. And we found this kind of shooting targets, and they were basically just with all they had was like a display, which showed you a score or something. And battery, so they were not usually plugged into a computer or anything. You were just supposed to shoot them all down when you got points. And then to Martin, the same guy who knows about lights, he knows about everything, kind of hardware stuff. He's like the hardware guy. So he made the hardware that we needed to kind of register these shots. And again, I were the one writing the software. So then we wrote the software to show a hex number, and then when you shot the targets, you registered what bits you shot down, and then you had to match it. So if you were able to do that successfully 3 times, you got the flag. And this year we wanted to bring it back because it was a success. So we did, but we changed it up a bit. So this year we were showing a character. Let's say you showed them lowercase a, which is a hex 41. Then you had to shoot the bits that corresponds to hex 41. So yeah, it's the same challenge, just with a bit of a change. So I think there was a lot of new players this year, obviously, who haven't tested it before, but I like it myself. I also think it's kind of cool to, and you also have to do a bit of the cooperations, have someone kill the guns with what's it called?
Bullets.
Yes, that's a good one. Balls, I was supposed to say, but bullets is better. To make sure that you had enough all the time and have a gun ready to shoot.
I mean, our strategy is that our crypto guy, of course, did the calculations, and I was reload and shoot. So I mean, that worked excellent.
Yeah, you did both. So. Yeah, I think Bootplug last year, you had like 3. You had like no.
I wasn't playing.
No, but you were Bootplug. they had like one guy doing the calculation, and one girl cat converted from hex to binary, and then they had one shooter, yeah, and maybe a reloader even. So like it was a whole operation.
I actually want to say something that I was really, that I thought it was kind of cool, and that was last year, and I think maybe someone did it this year as well. But there were some teams that weren't that many people, and maybe there's only one person from that team that went and was like, I don't know how, I don't even know how to do this, and other people from other teams were like, you know what, we'll help you out. It's just for fun anyways, and I thought it was super awesome. Really cool. I mean, you're in a competition and people are still like taking out their time to help you. And I think that talks about a lot about the essence of the CTF community in Norway.
Oh, that's really cool.
And just, it's kind of off track from the on-site or our CTF, but we just mentioned how in CTFs, I mean, there are rules, you can't like share flags and all of that, but people, especially after CTFs, you learn from each other.
Yeah.
You share the solution, your solution is different, you explain how you solved it, and people learn from each other, and you help each other learn more, which I think is really great.
Absolutely. So really, like, if you don't just act like kind of, I don't know what to say, but if you act nice, I guess, and you ask the right questions, if you just don't show up and how do I solve this, people will actually help you. If you try to learn and kind of, rather than just ask how to solve it, ask how can I approach it, or how should I do it, X, Y, Z. There is a lot of people who are willing to help.
I had that same exact experience at Disobey, and I had to stop and be like, dude, I really appreciate it, but I don't understand a single thing you're saying. Like, so you're wasting your time. But I'll go get you a beer if you want one.
And last, this is just more of a fun question, and I thought it was very fun at least. During the there was one OSIN puzzle run challenge that you had this year, walkabout, where you had to run to. I mean, the venue, for those who doesn't know, is located very close to Oslo S, and and then you got this puzzle run where you're supposed to find like real places scattered around in Oslo city. And the first place was Søringa, which is about 1.5 or 2 kilometers away from the venue. So some of the other teams had thought about this and had scooter bikes. And me and my teammate, we ran full power. So we got an exercise that day. But what I was going to say is that, and also the opportunity to brag a little bit, because we first blooded this challenge, is that did you guys know that the last flag or location, Dronningens Kebab, recently moved location? Yeah, it did.
Yes. But nice. I don't think I think the challenge creator, I'm not sure if he knew, but I really liked Dronningens Kebab. So when I kind of looked at, he made it kind of, and I pointed that out to him that this place actually just moved. Do you know that? And he was like, yeah. No, not really. I don't think so. I don't think he knew. But then we found that, but it's even better that it moved so perfect. But I had already been there, obviously, as the kebab fanatic I am.
I heard that people were running to the old one, the old location.
We first loved because of that. Because, like I said, so the three locations before, one of the locations before was at the top of the Opera House. And that's when we saw that, oh my God, there are people scootering away, because everyone had the badge that we're wearing for the event, right? So you could see them immediately. And they were scootering away, and we were like, no, we're not gonna get it. And then I saw this run to the old location, and me being a frequent kebab enjoyer, of course, know where the locations are. So we then switched to the other to the actual location, and then yeah, that's how we got we're the first people. So that's kind of funny.
Oh, that's cool. I think we just need to announce right now that there will be a new similar challenge next year. So people need to bring their scooters, their running gear, everything. We have like 10 kilometers away, so maybe you need to take the bus even, or get a car.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that your the radius has increased from last year, so I'm very curious. I mean, maybe a car is needed next time. That was, yeah.
But intentionally this year, we didn't have it as a pyre challenge because we were afraid that you all would just run out through the streets and get hit by a bus or something. So it wasn't a pyre challenge.
But I guess people still ran though.
Oh, we ran. We ran.
First blood is first blood. Yeah. So you need to get that music played.
Yeah, true.
That was such a cool task. Yeah, I mean, or do you have I mean, a lot of other questions, but maybe you will take the lead, Robby.
No, my job here is done. I've learned so much. I don't know if I have any more memory in my head available. So go ahead.
I mean, okay. So I guess generally, like for this event or previous events, do you have like a super like I mean, you guys talked a little bit about already, I guess, with the Wi-Fi issues and so on, but like this went really bad, like a horror story, and on the other side you have like, oh wow, this was amazing, went way better than expected. And
I guess the first one is easy. I think like our second CTF, we intentionally released fake challenges. We leaked them. So Marius at that point didn't work for us. He was an attendee. So he and his team and a few other teams thought these were real leaks. So they used a lot of time solving our leaked challenges that were actually just jokes, kind of. They were not real challenges. Yeah. So we thought we were clever and cool, like we have full control of our infrastructure, no worries. We can leak fake chals, and we because how we did it back then was that for every challenge was hosted at least Web Challenges had some challenge name.ebtgg, and then that got a certificate. It wasn't wildcard certificate, you got a specific certificate. So all the teams, this is known in the CTF community, obviously, that you sit and you watch crt.sh, because there all new certificates pop up. So Marius is the worst of them all. Like, he has crawlers for everything. So if something changes on some of the Norwegian CTF platforms, he will know. And we knew this, that he will know. So we leaked, and that was fun. And they used a lot of time on solving our unsolvable challenges.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. But the next year, we were sharing, me and Fredrik, fixing or actually getting certificates. So to kind of get these Let's Encrypt certificates, we had to open the firewall because the challenges, at the time we used HTTP challenges, so those had to get back in. So we opened up, all good, got the certificates, closed back down. But in AWS, if you use a load balancer there, they are supposed to be public accessible from the internet, right? But the problem was that we closed it down, the firewall again, but by some magic, it just reopened by itself without us knowing. And again, they noticed, and the other teams noticed. So I think that was like 4 challenges were open for 2 weeks before the event, something like that. Yeah.
But people said because we kind of leaked fake challenges the year before, they thought
they were
those
fake again.
those were fake again, but they were actually real. Burned. They were real.
So that sucked. So we burned like 4 challenges.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was people who spent a lot of time trying to solve those as well. So they were put to good use. But that sucked. That really sucked, because especially one of the challenges, one of the team members had used a lot of time. I don't know if you remember, but it was like Vasm challenge where you had this rotating Rubik's Cube and there was a ball jumping on the colors. So that like that, it was pretty much the same as the light ball where the colors had different values. So it was a really cool challenge, and then we burnt it. So that sucked. There was a few more. I don't remember which ones that were.
I think that one was
That is for sure the worst blooper we have done.
Yeah.
CTF wise. Work-wise, we have way worse, but CTF-wise.
I mean, based on recent stories, owning domains and being able to have that under control has been quite obvious. Past a bit unfortunate what happened there, but yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I think that's even more embarrassing than what we did. Sorry, PST. We still love you.
Yeah, we still love you, the organization, and the challenges that you provide when you have them available. But oh yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, I'm also, this goes a little bit out of going back from the challenges, but more about the EPT team in general. I'm a bit more curious about how is it like generally structured? How many people are you guys? You talked a bit about the composition and so on, but I'm also curious about how often do you guys sit together and just do EPT stuff, if I can call it that.
Yeah, I guess we need the history lesson here first as well. Like, I would argue that EPT is kind of a gang loosely coupled to the Equinor Cyber Defense Center. So the core kind of is part of the Cyber Defense Center in Equinor, but we have members who work in other disciplines in Equinor. We have members who have worked in Equinor, but all of them have some association to the company, but not all work here. And when it started, it was just fun and games. We played a lot in the beginning, and there was no we just did it for fun. And then over time, as we talked about earlier with the compensation, stuff got a bit more professionalized, so to say. And I think like one of the downsides of having kind of paid events and such is that it started to feel more like work, that okay, you actually get paid for this, so then it's work to some extent. And we have over time became less and less active, I would say. There's like when we stood on stage after Equinor CTF this year, it was like 20 people. Half of them has never played a CTF. They're there to help us. They still work here and they're there to help us with the on-site stuff. And usually on most events, there's maybe 3 to 5 players playing hard. There's a few more maybe who have small kids who contribute when they can. And in total, maybe 10. And obviously when we've gone to bigger events like DEF CON, we have been 7, 8 people. We have a few back home who help. We have some guests at time, but I would argue, even though it looks big, it's a really small team in the core of it. There's not many players.
Yeah.
But I would say that's typical with CTF teams.
Yeah.
Like in all CTF teams, you have the core, or the people that are hardcore CTF players, and then you have the others that kind of join in now and then, if they are able.
And also another kind of thing here is that when you start out, everything is kind of a win. So I remember first times we played with like 2 or 3 people, we got like 10 places of random CTF. We were stoked, like this is amazing. And then you start winning, and then over time it's like everyone expects you to win this event. So if you don't win, you fail. And I think that feeling, that it sucks to some extent, that it's more about a relief when you win than it's a joy to win. And everything else than a win is a failure. And I know it's wrong to think like that, but I think it is the reality of playing a lot of CTFs that, at least to some extent, especially for me this year when we played the Red Team Village CTF at DEF CON. After we won that event, and when we were done, it was like, that was a relief that we actually won it, more than I was happy that we did. So that's also one of the things that changes over time with CTF teams. I think that in the beginning, everything is a win, everything is fun, you improve a lot, and then over time, it's more draining, and you feel like you must win, even though no one gives a shit except yourself. It feels that way, I think.
I can agree when it comes to when you play as a team, because then you have the pressure of performing well, since you have history of performing well. But I still play CTFs individually as kind of like a way to keep my brain updated and have a bit of fun. And I guess it's more motivating when I play individually and there are prizes. That's always fun. But I have the competitive mindset, so I of course like to win and I don't like to lose. So it does suck as well sometimes.
It's the classical suffering from success, right? You're so used to winning and all that. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I have a competitive background as well, sports, and I definitely can see that. Hard to manage both the mental aspect of it and so on. So yeah, that's quite an interesting insight. I mean, like a leading question when you guys talk about is that, so what are your tips to people like me that wants to start up a CTF initiative in my company? Like, because I'm not necessarily the person that has the mandate or the money or the budget, right? So what do you tell me? Like, how can I start this?
We didn't have any of those things either when we started. I think it needs to be started based on the joy of playing CTFs. And I don't like trying to do this real corporate will always fail to some extent, I think, because you need the passion, you need the drive. And even though we are a company and we get paid to some extent for this, it feels for us, at least the ones who use the most time on this, it's just as much a dugnad, as we say in Norway. We spend a lot of our spare time creating challenge, setting up infrastructure, and everything else that goes into this. So you need those kind of ildsjæl, as you say in Norwegian, to kind of do the hard work. If you just go in and everyone expects to just do this in working hours, getting paid for everything, creating challenges and whatnot, it's going to be too expensive. You need like a full team doing this 24/7. So I don't think that will ever work. I think you need to find other passionate people in mnemonic who also likes this and start playing and having fun. And from there, start small. For us, this was just kind of organic. It started by us being motivated to do so because we like CTFing and we like hosting CTFs, and there was never some expectation to get paid or whatever. It's more about having fun and all of that stuff. So yeah, that is the core of it, I think. And I've seen a lot of corporate CTF stuff, and it's a lot of times when they don't have real CTF players organizing, it's really bad, both the challenges and the infrastructure and just their understanding of the game. And if something happens during the CTF that is unforeseen and unfair, the ruling from people who are admins, if they haven't played themselves, is always horrible, and then it's even more unfair. Everything is shit, kind of. So you need passionate people who has played a lot of CTF themselves. That's the most important.
Marius, you're shaking your head. Do you have any comment? Not you were agreeing, but obviously it seemed that you had some additional input.
No, in terms of people hosting CTFs that don't have experience with these CTFs, I'm not going to mention examples, but there was the competition last year, and it ended with the players getting blamed, and the players are hacking the infrastructure, breaking everything, and basically just it wasn't the hoster's fault, it was the players' fault, and they just didn't manage to. They were out of this world, I would say. They were on another planet when it comes to hosting CTFs.
Yeah, and also blaming players for blaming players for hacking the infrastructure. Imagine we get 500 hackers in a room. What do you think will happen? They'll fucking try to hack everything. That's the kind of point. So yes, of course, we also say please don't hack our infrastructure, but we expect you to do so anyways, and we won't get mad at you if you do.
That's just a guideline.
Isn't there a word for that? Toxic? Isn't there the word toxic in your culture? Doesn't that mean something?
No, but hackers gonna hack means something, and being toxic, DDoSing, that's kind of sad and stupid. But if we have examples where we have played CTFs and we have hacked the infrastructure ourselves because hackers gonna hack. So if you have a good example is less experienced organizers, they host a binary exploitation challenge on the same server where they host their platform, and then you pop a shell on that pwn challenge. And then suddenly you see that, oh, there's a DB running here, and there's a CTFD instance running here, and what if I get those creds and connect to the database, and here's all the flags. So we have done that. We have done other stuff that we maybe shouldn't talk about, but hackers gonna, like, it's part of the culture, and as long as you don't kind of mess up for everyone else, pretty much everything flies in CTF. So we have a kind of iceberg of CTF tactics. I'm not sure if you've seen it. If you haven't, look it up. And I don't think we're not on the bottom layers there. We stay away from those, but
I mean, it is a legal, ethical hacking competition, right? So you do have hackers. It's a venue for
competitive as hell. So
and it's a venue for people to hack legally instead of doing stuff illegally.
So I would argue if people would hack our infrastructure, we'd obviously appreciate if they told us. But for example, when we had the leaked challenges, that's a good example. We didn't get angry at the people who tried to solve them without telling us, even though they're actually our friends, many of them. We know them really well. They didn't tell us. They still tried to get a competitive advantage. Some organizers get mad at stuff like that and say, you should have acted professionally and told me, I don't like you. But we know as competitors ourselves that we would have done the exact same thing. So hackers would hack, and we respect that. But again, if you do something that's just destructive, like DDoSing or something like that, that's not okay. But when it comes to, there's a lot of things we accept in the CTF community that is not accepted in other competitions, I would argue.
A quote from Pirates of the Caribbean comes to mind from the first movie. It's like, rules, them are more like guidelines anyways. I feel like that's very applicable here.
We should rename it on the website.
Yeah, it shouldn't be rules, should be guidelines. But it's the same like with team sizes and everything.
Yes, it's guidelines.
Yeah, it's all guidelines.
So I get, but and then on the flip side, say you are a person who you have the money, you have the budget, you have the power, the mandate in the company, and you want to start up the CTF stuff. Like, what is your message to them? Of course, just get these ildsjeler, as you call, but how do you go about doing that if you have nothing from scratch?
But I mean, you can't force people either, right?
I know a lot of people have tried exactly that and failed to some extent. You can, like, obviously you can easily do it, and you can host kind of corporate CTFs at kind of, if you have 20 students, and they never played a CTF before. That you can easily do and give them kind of easy challenges and everything. But if you want to kind of have something bigger and invite more experienced players and kind of try to build your company's reputation upon it, I think you need experienced people. It's not the same like, I want to build this platform for my company. It's just the same that to some extent enterprise software sucks. If you try to pen test that, it sucks compared to commercial software. It's the same with CTFs. Enterprise stuff is usually really poor. And that goes for both software and CTFs. And then software examples would be software we use in Equinor that only bigger companies use is often, the quality of that software is often poorly written. But if something is open source or it's used by a lot of people and you can download it for free, people will look at it and find bugs and improve it, and there's an ecosystem. But if you have to pay $1 million kroners just to get your hands on it, obviously not a lot of security people are able to do so they get away with worse stuff. But no, it's hard, and I don't have a good answer for you. I would hire Marius, Fredrik, and a few of our other guys and start there.
Hire some ildsjeler, basically.
Yeah, hire CTF.
But that is an honest answer, right? Sometimes that is the solution, right? Just get the right people, and I guess getting that is difficult.
I think people is the key part to make it CTFs.
Yeah, I can't wait for your platform to be open source so we can use it as well, because we have tried to use CTFD and something similar, and you know, we both know how that can be. There's a lot of extra work.
The thing about our platform, when I played EPT CTF in 21, you guys were using our CTF.
Yes.
Right. And the year after, so the current platform that we use on EPT CTF, there's a story behind it. So Christian, for Cyberlandslaget last year,
he's also an EPT member.
Yeah, Christian Arnold. He made a mini platform, it was called. which was planned. We're just going to use it for qualification. We'll make something proper later. We'll just use this for now, just to have something cool. Because we have a lot of like customization with Discord, and it's very integrated to make the experience very special or custom. And then we ended up having semi-qualification. And there we like, okay, we don't have time to make a new platform. Let's just use the one we have, the mini platform. We'll just add stuff to it, of course. And then we have the finals. We needed more stuff.
We needed teams. We only had solo play before that.
Yes.
Now we need teams.
Yes. So we had to. I think we just copied the users and added teams. Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah. The code was.
I don't think the code was bad in itself, but what was bad was kind of we just
how it was
added
built. Yes.
upon it all the time without kind of redesigning it. We just we don't have time. Just add.
But that's typical, right? Yeah. So for this year, and we used this mini platform with some additional customization for the EPT CTF last year.
Yeah, and also at that platform we had summer students from Beauvais wrote a new front end for us that we also want to open source. That was the idea. So they made a front end for our existing backend platform, because the front end we had was just Jinja templates. That was kind of bad. So that was improved at least.
And we rewrote a bit of the backend.
Yeah, and that was. Yeah. It got better.
Yeah, and then this year the plan was to...
One dream is the plan.
We have one dream, which is we have one demand, which is our on-demand. We have one infrastructure. We have a lot of components. Well, the plan was to make one platform. So completely make the platform from scratch, to make it proper, to make it... to open source it, basically. Yeah. But time... it takes time to make stuff. So this year we ended up using the platform from last year and just added stuff. So the whole card, all of the badges and everything is just addition to the platform that we used last year.
I think like that is for the CTF platform itself, where you submit the flags. But the other, like we call the whole ecosystem of stuff you need, it ended up being one dream. And then so the one demand is basically the stuff that starts the pod when you press start. The backend sends a request to another system that starts the pod in Kubernetes. So that part is its own platform, so to say. So that's better. We need to rewrite it obviously and delete the whole commit history. But I think we can open source that. And also we have the logic for when you commit a new challenge to GitHub. We have GitHub actions that run software that deploys these challenges both to the platform and to the Kubernetes cluster and everything. That part is also we started using something that existed that is called RCDS. And now it's one CDS because we have extended it a lot. So that is also something we probably will open source. And this year now I'm gonna make it public so that Kongsberg have to commit. But we have the guys from Kongsberg, KCSE, they will kind of join us and use the same platform. So we'll collaborate with them and try to kind of do the development together so that we can have more people working on it and hopefully at some point make it open source.
Yeah, because I mean, ideally we would have one platform that everyone can use, right? Yes. And that everyone can improve instead of just having one team do it. And we've seen people create their own platforms because, okay, we need this. This platform doesn't work. Let's create it, reinvent the wheel instead of.
And CTFD is really good, Marius, isn't it?
I hate CTFD. Oh, I guess this podcast is coming after.
Yeah.
So we're gonna announce it tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. We're gonna host a julekalender with a few people from the community.
Cool.
So we'll
Cyberlandslag.
Hey.
Yeah.
So Cyberlandslag is hosting a julekalender.
Yeah, not we, but
a delayed.
Yes.
Delayed, and then we are doing the infrastructure, and we're using CTFD, and Marius had to write the on-demand component to support the on-demand backend.
So in theory, even though we don't have the one platform, we can, people can use the one demand.
Yeah, with CTFD, and everything is integrated with CTFD. So at some point we will maybe open source, but we have to do a lot of cleanup.
Yeah.
We are
Commit
not
history,
developers,
holy
we are
shit.
YOLOers. So the commit history and it's just
There's a lot of shit in
Yeah.
there.
just wise and
Yeah.
it's not proper. So we're a bit like, even for us, it's embarrassing. So we have to do something about
But
it.
I just want to also quickly add, the reason our CTF works well isn't just because of the CTF. It's not just as CTF, it's an entire event. And thanks to all of the customizations we have with the Discord integration, with the cards, with everything being just custom, it makes the experience completely different, I'd say.
It sounds like one of those commercials where if you want to go on a cruise, this is not just a cruise, it's an
Well, I'm
experience.
sold, so I mean,
It is an experience.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's obviously the experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's also the problem with CTF platforms. You can have a generic one that works, but if you want to customize and make it like you want it to be, which we have because we have so much custom stuff, which we think add a lot of value, then it's harder and you need to make modules and or just write it kind of shitty and never show your cards, basically.
Yes.
So
It looks good from the
yeah.
outer view, right?
Yes. No one knows the spaghetti
I
inside.
mean,
It's not that bad, but we need to do some improvement before we can open source.
yeah.
Basically.
And I'm gonna be a bit vague here because not everything is settled yet. For those who are listening, but Mnemonic is gonna, to some extent, host CTF in spring 2025, and maybe some more.
We're joining.
How you have
Now committed.
Yes.
That's cool.
And yeah, one of the challenges that we're looking into is like, what platform can we use? That has more or less settled at the moment. I'm not gonna announce anything here. I can talk to you guys about that offline if you guys are curious.
Sure.
But yeah, definitely a challenge to kind of find the right tools. And then, because we were like, okay, maybe we can use CTFD because that is, the cheapest solution. And then we looked at, but how many hours do we then need to put into this, right? And maybe it's not that cheap anymore, right? And then you could consider other platforms, just to mention, you have more famous labels like Hack the Box, for example, right? But they are quite costly in comparison, for example, and maybe
Yeah, and then you can't, I guess, then you have to use what they have. You can't it's not open source. You can't bring it in and make plugins. At least you can do that with CTFD.
Exactly.
You can customize it, but that is not easy.
So yeah, very excited for when you guys open source your solution. I can say that we have something for now that we think will work quite well for our for the way.
I'm interested.
Will it be on-site or online?
It will be on-site for a smaller audience. If people want to go there, of course, they can do that. And
yeah, we're looking forward to it.
We'll come 30 people. We'll bring everyone.
I mean, by all means, you're invited.
We'll put it on the podcast.
Yeah, oh shit. So yeah, I mean, commercial is commercial, I guess, right? Every PR is good PR. We are committed.
Yeah, we are now.
Yeah, and
When is by the way, what is the Equinor CTF next year?
Let's announce that also. I guess it's, we say like, maybe we're not doing it, but obviously we're gonna do it again. So it's gonna be 8th of November at the same venue as this year, the Hub Hotel in
put
Oslo.
it in my calendar.
8th of November.
Yeah.
But I guess we need to agree in regards to registration and get that information out.
Yes, we need to do something about that because I think there will be more than 500 that want to go, so we need to make it fair somehow.
This podcast may not help that goal of being on the
Yeah. I think you need to book like an extra huge tent or something. Just put it in the square out of Oslo. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But you need more than 500 people. I can tell you that already.
Then you need to find us a better venue in Oslo that we can use that is not like gigantic. It's actually really hard to find venues of this size that fits. And even like being at the hotel is not perfect either because, for example, one thing is that people want to bring soda or food or whatever. At the hotel, you can obviously not do that because they want to sell you everything. So kind of it's kind of sad for us because we want people to be allowed to bring their Monster Energy or whatever, but then the venue says no, and they even stopped some people walking in with who have bought something. So stuff like that is kind of sad, but there is at least not that we know of. But if someone knows something, just
let us know.
Yeah, let us know, and we are up to switching venues and maybe expanding the capacity. But I think stuff like Oslo Spectrum is just too insane. We need
for
something.
Now.
Yeah, for now.
My best friend runs Ambassaden. I think they have room for like 800 people, but that's you guys have things to bring, so I'm not sure how that'll work. But
it was supposed to, like, this venue was supposed to fit 800 people as well.
Okay, yeah.
This year.
Yeah, I guess it fits 800. Like in
standing CTFs.
No, you're like sitting without desks. No, I think even sitting with desks. Oh, there. It was pretty full now with 500. Maybe we can squeeze in a few more, but not many, unfortunately.
Well,
Amazing.
Looking forward to that. If you need a bartender or something, I'm not very useful for anything else, but I feel like now I will contribute my time too, if where I'm useful in a bar that I've been there before. So
I've been to the bar before.
Yeah. If we get another venue, then if there's no bartenders, we'll for sure contact. You can be a DJ and bartender.
Yeah, I can do that.
Doorman, everything. Perfect.
All right, gentlemen.
I have 2 more questions, if I can. I know that we're running out of time here, but
yes, we're good from our side.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom. You guys continue.
Okay. Well, then there is 3. But no, this is
Finally.
Actually, a question from. Okay, there are a lot of questions that were sent in. Many of them were kind of like I kind of asked them already, and people asked them the same question. So not really gonna specify who said those specific questions, but there are 2 questions that stand out from specific people that I want to mention. The first one was, is there anything you feel is missing from the Norwegian CTF community or environment, from Noko, from Bootplug?
That's a really good question, and we can talk an hour on this, I guess. Yeah. Do you want to start, Marius?
Yeah. So we have seen, like, I've been a part of this community for 4 years now, or 3.5, and I've seen it grow quite big the last 2 years, and there's a lot of new people joining in. I think the things that's missing the most is more people taking the initiative. More, as you call it in Norwegian, ildsjeler. Yeah. That can actually, like, people talk about, oh, this is missing and that is missing, but there needs to be more people that kind of contribute into, as like the people that take the initiative.
As Nike would said it, just do it, kind of. There's a lot of ideas from people, but I wish that more, like, we are kind of doing our CTF. We are, to some extent, also behind Cyberlandslaget, less now than previously, but we feel we need others also to contribute and kind of just take action, do something, create that server or whatever with those people for that whatever, or create the event or whatever it might be. We just want others also to kind of start contributing. And not to say that people are not. There's a lot of people doing really good work and helping out and doing a lot of great stuff for the community, but we need even more as the community is growing.
And I mean, the community, if you're open for, you shouldn't be afraid. And if there is something, if you have questions, if you want to ask, oh, can I do this, or how do I do this, just ask. Like, me and Eirik is open for helping people. We do this for the community.
And also, like, there is this community on Discord called CTF Norway. But I think to some extent there's a problem when these communities get too big, because then everyone is kind of worried of asking questions because so many people will see it and there's just a lot of lurkers. So I think also, I know that there's also a lot of smaller kind of circles of communities within CTF Norway or within the community, and I think that's also I would argue that's a good thing, because then you can have smaller communities of trust who trust each other and can talk more openly. But me and Marius have discussed that we need kind of like, we have Cyberlandslaget Discord and we have CTF Norway Discord, but I think like we should have maybe that server that already exists, the CTF Norway one, should be properly
Like the
managed,
main.
maintained, and create new channels and try to get some activity going.
Yeah.
And I think that will help a lot on getting more kind of activity into the community. Because there's a lot of people playing, and you see like when we host a CTF, a lot of people showing up, but a lot of them are kind of just working in their own kind of smaller communities throughout the year without having proper bigger engagement in the community.
That's a very good answer to the question. I mean, I think from my side as well, again, as a fairly lazy person, I feel like as you guys mentioned, the CTF community is very open. I mean, open-minded. I mean, you can ask questions and people will take it seriously and try to be helpful and so on. So I definitely feel like it's an open community that people should take more advantage of. And also, I mean, again, we are trying to make something like a CTF as well. I think it's a good thing to mention then that we of course also had like, but are we going to be compared to the Equinor CTF? I'm like, and people ask them like, well, maybe, but we are not there yet, at least, right? So so you have to start somewhere, and you have to accept that everyone has a humble beginnings, and it's very good that today that we hear from you that you also had, you know, you didn't start with like everything was in place and everything was perfect, and you know, so I think that's a very good it's a very good message that you guys bring.
I think shout out to you guys for actually doing it and doing it as mnemonic, and it is like there is pressure, and you have to deliver to some extent when you do this, and it's not easy, but like that you guys also host a CTF now is great. Then there's one more to the community, and I know like we talked a bit about Kongsberg earlier, but they are also hosting a lot of smaller CTFs around, and they've talked about doing a bigger one maybe next year.
But that's the thing for us as well, at least for me. I want to participate in CTFs as well. So it's great. I want to participate in EPT CTF because that's why I'm hosting it. It's a CTF I would like to play. So if others create something that I can join, I would love it. And you do have...
And please don't do it 2 weeks before EPT CTF. That would be nice. Then we don't
so all major firms out there, we will go together and we plan like once a month, right? So you guys have November.
That will be
actually
really cool.
A challenge like to the community, right? I guess.
And it's not only companies, like the CTF team, there's 7-8 people. Whack Attack, they've now hosted a really good CTF 2 years in a row. So mad shout out to them.
And I think one thing, there are people that host CTFs, but they are locked for specific like groups of people. Open CTFs, I think, are the most fun and most giving, both for people but the community as well.
And that's back to the corporate kind of version again. So a lot of the consultancy companies, without shaming anyone, does this. Like they have these small private events and only a few selected students are invited and everything. And I think that it's totally fine to do so. I don't have anything against it, but if you want to help the community, you need to open it up and make sure that everyone is allowed to participate. And just there's so much resources spent on creating challenges and everything. So for me at least, when we do this, we want to have as many players as possible so that as many can enjoy those challenges that people have spent so much time creating.
That's why we also have the remote category, even though there weren't that many remote.
We at least give them an opportunity. And that's also when, again, back to having our custom platform, we can do stuff like that. We can have hide them on the scoreboard or do whatever.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great message. Also, so this is the last question, unless you guys have something more they would like to bring up, or Robby has thought about more questions, but this is from, and I gave you guys like a little bit of heads up. It's from Eirik from Cold Boots.
We know him.
Never heard.
I don't even know what this means, so you guys have to explain it to me and to listeners. But the question is translated Farsha or Saipkanka.
How do you spell the second one?
ZAPIEKA. Zapiekanka. Yeah,
Zapiekanka.
Zapiekanka. Yeah.
Ah.
It's Polish apparently, right? I'm sorry for butchering that.
Yeah, the
Oh.
Polish. Yes, no.
It's Polish food, or
Yeah, it's like a baguette.
it's easy to answer for me at least.
I have had fasha. It's basically cooked meat.
Stop it!
It's
It's
horrible.
heated in the oven with a beautiful crust.
But it's kind of funny because Eirik was here as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, I guess, we were a small group of CTF players from different CTF teams around Oslo. We traveled to Stavanger to meet the EPT people to like look at the office and wow, is it cool? It's just a standard office, but Eirik showed us around, the team showed us around, and we got to eat fasha.
And just to explain to everyone, pasta is like it's the national food of Jæren. It's not national, but it's kind of the local cuisine of Jæren. It's delicious meat in like a white bread kind of stuff, and and you can have accessories, pretty much the same accessories you have on a hot dog you get at the gas station.
Yeah, basically cooked wienerpølse. That is well.
It's way better, so everyone needs to go to Jæren and try it out.
Is that like
Ask
that hot
Robby if
dog
you
that
want,
looks
if he prefers
disgusting?
it or not.
Like it looks like a burger hot dog? It's not that, is it?
No.
Okay.
It looks like a bad burger, maybe. Yeah.
It looks like a cooked burger, like a burger cooked in water and then grilled a bit.
Well, I know we're having lunch at the next Equinor CTF.
Yeah.
No, but you have to ask Eirik as well, because I guess he's had both.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess he's the one who knows the answer. We don't.
I know.
Oh, you know,
Zapiekanka.
obviously.
Yeah, you haven't had it, but
Oh, hell.
yeah, Zapiekanka is the correct answer.
No, it's
I would
not.
say.
It's pasta, obviously.
No.
Well, and a very quick shout out to all the people and the teams that has contributed questions. It has been especially from Bootplug, Corax, Colboots, a lot of been both mnemonic teams and others that I probably don't remember at the moment. But I just want to give a shout out to the community for helping contributing questions for today. Do you, Robby, either have a question or does Marius or Eirik have any last comments? Things that you...
Yeah, can we give a shout out, like,
Yeah.
or not a shout out, but Cyberlandslaget, which is the Norwegian national team for hacking. That is also, it's driven from NTNU, but there's a lot of people active and helping making that a thing, and it costs money. You need to send people to the finals in Europe, and you need to host gatherings and everything. And that team needs sponsors, and it's consists of the brightest young minds in cybersecurity we have in Norway. So it's a
Smart
great
people.
opportunity for companies to kind of get some good PR. So if you want to be a part of Cyberlandslaget, either contributing with challenges as a private person or as a company giving us them money, you are free to contact us or
Cyberlandslaget.no. You can
Yes.
check there on Discord or send us a message. We can forward it to the correct people.
Yep.
And it is something for the community, and we worked hard on creating it, or kind of taking it over,
stealing
stealing it, which we want people, especially companies, to support because it needs money for travel and stuff like that. It is for the community.
Yeah, and it's also a really good way to get the younger generation interested in cybersecurity. So
I just want to add that we've seen a lot of new teams pop up like the last 2 years, and there have been teams that have been established after Cyberlandslaget, for example. And these are people that didn't play CTFs before. They just heard about the CTF from Cyberlandslaget, joined there, and then they played the finals and ended up as a CTF team after that.
yeah, and also from Cyber Talent, which is Etterretningstjenesten,
Yeah.
semi-yearly CTF. Shout out to them as well for keep doing what you're doing, Cyber Talent.
Yeah.
And NPST, hope they come back with a real CTF next year.
Ooh.
And I guess the community,
Yeah.
just like the reason we do this is also because of the community. All the like nice feedback, it helps because we are tired and we are kind of we don't want to do it at the end, but then we get all these positive messages, and seeing that people appreciate it gives at least me motivation to do this again.
Yeah, and I guess the last one would then have to be Equinor for giving us the money and finance we need to do it. So that's also cool.
We are biased, but it's important, I would say.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was talking about one of the teams that was created from that also contributed questions. Is actually norske nøkkelsnikere who also contribute some questions. So yeah, definitely. And for those who are more patriotic, I guess we can say that Cyberlandslaget also, compete worldwide and represent Norway. So if they do well, that's a good outlook for our nation in general. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just have to say the names of these teams, tip top. They're so great.
I'm very happy. Yeah, creating team names is like the most difficult part ever. I will say that I was fearing that how we're going to create like names for our team this year. I'm quite happy with the outcome we got in the end. That was decided like.
Yeah, red and blue.
Yeah. And they kind of sound cool, like mnemonic foo and mnemonic oof.
I know what my team name would be. It would be, Eirik said it earlier, the
Lurkers.
Lurker.
The Lurkers.
Yeah, that is the most difficult part of any CTF, is finding the right name. That is...
most difficult part of any project.
Yeah,
use a lot of time finding a name.
I think we used like 3 months on coming up with the one dream name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, naming is important. Find the correct domain. And obviously also logos is really important to make sure you do it
and
properly.
good stickers and merch. That is also... Yeah, we haven't said that, but EPT, what does it stand for?
It stands for Equinor Pwn Team. Someone thought it was porn team at times. Obviously not. And just to say, like, Pwn is abbreviation of own, to own something. And in the kind of hacking community, it's about owning a server, hacking a server. And in the gaming community, it's more about owning a player, like you were betting them, killing them, whatever, then you own someone. So that's where it's from. I think it was miswritten by someone at some time. They were supposed to write own, and then it was pwn, and that's where it's from.
Internet culture. Took it from there.
I think you, Robby, have some issues with your mic at the moment.
You're very quiet.
Very low.
I'm quiet for once. All right. Nice. Well, I got this thing anyway, so. But gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on and using 2 hours of your time to share all your experience, and keep up the great work. We appreciate it on behalf of the community, which I'm not really a part of, but I will say thank you for them anyway.
You are now.
Yeah, now you are.
Yeah, I'm the bartender.
You're a bartender for
Exactly.
next year. So. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, gentlemen. See you around.
Bye-bye.